You are standing on a stretch of semi-permanent beach, 300 meters long, which was created by deposits of sand, gravel, and cobblestones on an inside bend of the Susquehanna River. During low water flows, this beach becomes an ecological powerhouse of wet pools and moist crevices fueled by sunlight. Pick up a few wet stones, making sure to replace them later where you found them, and notice the slimy texture caused by abundant attached diatoms, algae, and other organic matter. These slimes are created by photosynthesis and bacterial activity and are food for a huge variety of aquatic invertebrates, or animals without backbones, which scrape and graze the algae from the rocks or scavenge for small organic particles in the spaces between the rocks and the sand grains. The algal slimes are called in-stream primary production, while the imported particles are called coarse or fine particulate organic matter. Whatever we call it, it is food for consumers, great and small. Take the aquarium net that you brought with you and skim it along the bottom of one of the rocky pools in order to stir up the bottom. Transfer this benthic macroinvertebrate sample to a white pan with some water for observations. You are likely to spot side swimmers or scuds, or more properly, amphipods. These small, shrimp-like organisms are a keystone species in this habitat because they serve as a major food source for common wading birds such as great egrets and great blue herons. In turn, amphipods graze algae off the rocks and consume other small animals and particles. Undoubtedly, you also caught some insect larvae, such as mayflies, stoneflies, caddisflies, or dragonflies. These invertebrate consumers display a wide variety of physical adaptations, hooks and grapples, flattened shape, or small size, to meet the challenges of living in a flowing water environment. How many other adaptations can you observe and record? Do you discover any difference between the adaptations of benthic macroinvertebrate in the quiet pools versus the moving water? Are there differences in the type of organisms that you find which depend on the roughness or size of the sediments? Finally, if you have a hand lens, examine mouth parts of some of your organisms. You will be intrigued to discover a wide variety of structures for grazing, scraping, and active predation. One of the most interesting features of the beach is the presence of empty mussel shells made of calcium carbonate. Because the Susquehanna River's waters flow from the limestone rocks of New York State, the main channel of the river contains enough dissolved calcium bicarbonate to resist acid rain and to support the growth of snails and mussels with shells. The Lampsilus and Elliptio shellfish species, common in the deeper muddy pools and offshore, form a vital part of the river food web. Themselves food for mink and muskrats, most people are not aware that survival of mussels depends on native fish species too. Fish like to nip at the mantle fringe of mussels for food. For the mussels, it is a small price to pay because they can squirt their larvae, called glochidia, at the fish while it feeds. The mussel larvae lodge in the fish's gills and develop into juveniles that fall off later as maturing. Mussels filter algae and bacteria from the water. They are a vital part of aquatic ecosystems. They are also one of the most endangered groups of aquatic animals in the United States and the world because of the construction of dams which choke and alter the habitat with fine sediment. The increasingly wide variety of benthic invertebrate, especially leeches, mayflies, and mussels in this stretch of the Susquehanna River indicates a healthy aquatic ecosystem. As we continue to make progress on protecting stream banks to prevent erosion, controlling acid mine drainage and other urban pollutants, and reducing the amounts of coliform bacteria and excess nutrients in the water, we can look forward to a future with swimmable waters again. For a moment, a free-flowing Susquehanna River is excellent habitat for a wide variety of invertebrate, fish, birds, and mammals. The North Branch of the Susquehanna River is commonly home to some 30 species of fishes. The fishes in the river are generally described as warm water species, although the occasional trout may be found after washing in from a tributary. Most river species fall into the minnow and sunfish families and carry recognizable names such as the common carp, bluegill, and rock bass. Perhaps many people would be surprised to discover, however, that the most abundant fish in the river is not one of the hotly sought-after game fishes, but rather a diminutive fish called the spot-fin shiner. Though small in size and generally labeled as bait by anglers, Little fish like these are crucial links in the aquatic food chain. Another important link in the food chain is comprised of the bottom-feeding fish such as the suckers and catfish. 4 species of sucker inhabit the Susquehanna, and some of them carry interesting names like quillback, shorthead redhorse, and the northern hogsucker. Catfish include brown and yellow bullheads, white catfish, and the game fish, channel catfish. And speaking of game fishes, the Susquehanna River is home to populations of 3 important game fishes: walleye, smallmouth bass, and the wily muskellunge. Individuals of these species delight anglers of all ages. With the improved water quality of the river in the Wyoming Valley, fish sizes have responded to the ever-increasing number of river insects available for food. As a result, the river is expected to support trophy-sized fish of all these species, and local fisheries scientists report seeing individuals of these species that would thrill even the most seasoned angler's heart, especially muskellunge, large enough to feed on muskrats and ducks. Adding to the angling excitement, another game fish of historical importance, the American shad, is returning to the Susquehanna. Dams blocking their migration to the sea decimated the previous population of shad in the river, but recent installations of fish lifts at the dams have restored the passageway for this species. Even if you're not among those who wet a line, these denizens of the deep are worth everyone's consideration and appreciation as inhabitants of this river ecosystem.